When a predator clamps its jaws around this bear's neck, the bear turns around inside its own skin and bites back. That is not a metaphor. That is not an exaggeration. The sun bear's skin is so extraordinarily loose, so deliberately oversized for its body, that even with a predator's teeth already locked on, the bear can rotate almost completely and counterattack the animal that thought it had already won. In a jungle shared with tigers, leopards, and king cobras, this is the animal that has learned how to be impossible to kill. This is the sun bear, the smallest bear on Earth, and one of the most dangerous animals you could ever encounter on foot. At first glance, the sun bear looks like something between a dog and a stuffed animal. It stands only about 70 centimeters at the shoulder. It weighs between 25 and 65 kilograms, roughly the size of a large Labrador. Its face is round, its ears are small, and across its chest sits a pale orange crescent that looks almost painted on. It does not look dangerous. That is perhaps the most dangerous thing about it. The sun bear lives in the tropical forests of Southeast Asia, Borneo, Sumatra, the Thai Malay Peninsula, and parts of mainland Southeast Asia as far as southern China. It occupies some of the most biodiverse and most predator-dense jungles on the planet. In these forests, a sun bear shares territory with Malayan tigers, clouded leopards, and reticulated pythons. It is outweighed by all of them. It is, by every conventional measure, the underdog. And yet, experienced trackers and wildlife researchers consistently rank the sun bear as one of the most dangerous large mammals to encounter in the wild. Not because it is the strongest, but because of what it is built to do when something goes wrong. Here is where the sun bear stops being cute and starts being extraordinary. Most animals, including most bears, have skin that fits relatively tightly over the muscles beneath it. That tight connection is what makes a bite to the neck so effective. A predator grabs, the teeth sink deep, the spine or arteries are compromised. Fight over. The sun bear evolved a different answer. Its skin, particularly around the neck and shoulders, is dramatically, almost absurdly, loose. There is so much excess skin that even when a large predator has its jaws locked in and believes it has the kill secured, the bear's body can rotate inside that skin. It turns around, faces its attacker, and bites back. When a predator locks its jaws around a sun bear's neck, the bear turns around inside its own skin and attacks. That is not an exaggeration. The sun bear's skin is so deliberately oversized for its body that even with a predator's teeth already clamped down, the bear can rotate and face whatever grabbed it. Sun bears have been documented driving tigers off kills. They have driven off leopards. They have sent poachers to hospital with injuries severe enough to require reconstructive surgery. Their jaws generate enough force to crack open hardwood trees searching for termite colonies. That same force, applied to a human limb or a predator's skull, is catastrophic. This is the smallest bear on Earth, and in the jungle, almost nothing will start a fight with it twice. Look at those claws, long, curved, and hooked. They look like climbing tools, which is exactly what they are. Sun bears are exceptional climbers, spending significant time in the rainforest canopy, foraging for fruit, raiding bee nests, and sleeping on platforms they build from bent branches. But those same claws, in a defensive or offensive context, become something else entirely. A sun bear's claws are proportionally longer than a grizzly bear's relative to body size. They can tear through the outer casing of a hardwood termite mound, material that is essentially compressed earth and cellulose, harder than most timber, in a matter of seconds. The strike speed of a sun bear's forelimb has not been as extensively studied as larger bears, but what field researchers and incident reports consistently describe is this: the animal moves faster than its size suggests it should. Attacks happen before the victim, human or animal, has time to register that an attack has started. Combined with a charge that can cover ground with surprising acceleration, the claws deliver gouging wounds, not scratching ones. The hooked shape means the claw catches and pulls, not just swipes. Rangers and researchers in Borneo and Peninsular Malaysia have documented attack sites where the claw marks in wood and earth give a clear picture of what the bear can do. Those marks are not subtle. The sun bear's jaw deserves its own chapter. Its diet is brutally demanding. Termite mounds, tree bark, beetle larvae buried inside solid wood. Coconuts. The skull and jaw musculature of the sun bear evolved specifically to handle materials that would defeat most other carnivores. The zygomatic arch, the bony structure that anchors jaw muscles, is proportionally massive relative to the sun bear's skull size. This gives the animal bite force that researchers believe significantly exceeds what you would expect from an animal of this weight. For context, a sun bear's skull and jaw are built to rip apart structures that would blunt a machete. That is the force that gets applied in a defensive attack on a human. Injuries from sun bear maulings consistently include crushed bone, not just lacerations. Crushed bone. And it is not just power. The sun bear has something else. A tongue that extends up to 25 centimeters from its mouth, the longest tongue relative to body size of any bear species. That tongue evolved to extract honey and insects from deep inside tree cavities. It is one of the most specialized tools in the animal kingdom. And it exists inside a jaw that can destroy hardwood. Here is what makes every other physical advantage even more dangerous. The sun bear does not have a functional threat display phase. Most large predators have escalation sequences. There is posturing, there is vocalization. There is a window, however brief, in which a confrontation might de-escalate. The sun bear's version of that window is extremely short. Research and field accounts describe a pattern of unpredictability that is, in itself, the threat. The animal may appear disinterested and then charge. Unlike grizzly bears or polar bears, sun bears have not been heavily studied in terms of formal threat behavior sequences. But what wildlife officials, researchers, and indigenous communities across Southeast Asia consistently report is this: the bear does not bluff as often as larger bears. In Borneo, indigenous Dayak hunters, people who have lived alongside this animal for generations, describe encounters with sun bears, particularly mothers with cubs, as among the most dangerous possible in the jungle. Some accounts place the sun bear encounter higher on their personal risk hierarchy than encountering a king cobra. The cobra, at least, has a clear threat display. The sun bear may simply be there, and then it is not. And you are already in trouble. Tigers and sun bears share forest. In theory, a tiger outmasses a sun bear by 200 kilograms or more. In theory, the encounter should not even be a contest. In practice, it is more complicated than that. Camera trap footage and field research from Borneo and Sumatra have documented tigers and sun bears in proximity at kill sites and food sources. The tiger does not always displace the bear. In some recorded instances, the sun bear held its ground. In others, the tiger withdrew. The reason comes back to everything we have already established. A tiger that grabs a sun bear by the neck does not get the kill it expected. It gets an animal that turns around inside its own skin, that bites back, that has claws capable of tearing through hardwood. That will not stop. For a tiger, the calculation becomes, is this food worth potential injury? In a jungle where injury can mean starvation, the math sometimes says no. The sun bear continues doing what it was doing, because it has been doing this for a very long time. We started with a question: how does the smallest bear on Earth survive in a jungle full of animals designed to kill it? The answer was written on its body the entire time. That loose skin around the neck, the thing that looks almost like the bear bought a coat 2 sizes too big, is millions of years of evolutionary problem solving. It says, you can grab me, but you cannot finish this quickly. And a fight that does not end quickly in the jungle is a fight the attacker usually loses. The jaw that cracks hardwood says the same thing. The curved climbing claws say the same thing. Even the unpredictable charge says the same thing. The sun bear did not survive by being the biggest. It survived by being the most expensive to fight. In a world that rewards size and speed, this small bear built something more durable. A body that makes every predator do the same quiet calculation, and sometimes decide it is not worth it. That is why the sun bear is deadlier than it looks. Not because it is the strongest animal in the forest, because once a fight starts, it almost never loses. If you want more stories about the animals that survive by breaking the rules, subscribe, because next time we are looking at an animal that has no venom, no armor, and no size advantage, and has still never lost a fight with a king cobra. Ord 1-15 innehåller konkret fysisk fara, omöjlig premiss. Clamps its jaws, the bear turns around inside its own skin. Ingen av de första 3 meningarna börjar med you, have, today, welcome, in this, once. Öppen fråga etablerad inom 15 sinkelsäck. Hur överlever den minsta björnen i en djungel full av dödliga rovdjur? Tittaren skulle inte klicka bort efter mening 1. Exakt viktsintervall för Sun Bear 25-65 kilo. Geografiskt utbredningsområde. Jawforce data. Bitmec i förhållande till kroppsstorlek. Plattformsliggande i träd. Bed building behavior. Klornas proportionella längd versus grizzly. Dokumenterade skadefall med krossade ben. Tungans längd 25 cm. Som längst relativt kroppsstorlek bland björnar. Bristande bluffbeteende versus andra björnar, fältrapporter. Dayak-jägares riskrankning versus King Cobra. Specifika kamerafällefall av tiger som backar från Sun Bear.